In this video, I'm gonna show you the pre-call process that I have all my prospects go through before taking a sales call that now allows me to have 15-minute conversations, get an easy yes, and start enrolling people that already know what the program is, already know me, already wanna work with me, and we can just get started. Pay attention because this is a super valuable training. So I'm gonna be drawing on my iPad here. So what I wanna start with is the actual sales call because we have to understand where this pre-call process fits. I'm gonna draw 2 boxes and write Zoom. Hopefully you're taking it on Zoom. If you're not, I would suggest it. It really helps. Before that, there's going to be a calendar page, okay? So you're gonna see, whether you use Calendly or another software system, ultimately, you just wanna have a calendar right here. From here, when they select a time to meet, and then we actually have our call, what we wanna have happen is we wanna have a page, kind of in 3 sections here, 1, 2, 3, that is our pre-call page. Now, there's probably a ton of different ways that you could actually label this, but that's essentially what it is. And what the breakdowns are is one is going to be basically a program breakdown which shows everything that you would do with someone. Okay, this is really important because when I first started taking sales calls, I would have 45-minute, hour-long conversations and not sell to people because they'd be like, well, how does this work? Well, how does this work? And then now I'm like, that sounds awful. And so I just answer all of those questions before they get on, and then I make sure that they watch the video. Okay, so that's program breakdown. 2 is accept the calendar invite. Okay, this is really important. If they accept the calendar invite, they're likely gonna show up. My show rate for Catchy Made Simple, it's like 97%. It is really, really high. And that's because 1, I have a really strong brand. 2, I do a really good job through this pre-call process of making sure that they show up. So I ask them to accept the calendar invite. 3 is testimonials. This is really what this program looks like. So if I draw out exactly what this looks like, this is gonna be a video and it's gonna say 1, watch this, 2, accept with like a screenshot of like how to accept and with instructions. Typically it's like go in the calendar and press the yes, accept button at the bottom of the invite. And then 3, watch other testimonials. And this is gonna be a number of other testimonials that you're gonna have. Ideally you have a decent amount of these. This is the big picture bones of what we have here. So we have the calendar. After the calendar, upon form submission, they should be redirected to this pre-call page, and then they should go to that page a number of times until we actually get to that sales call. How I like to say in this program breakdown, I say, hey, super excited you booked the call. 3 quick things. 1, watch to the end. 2, accept the calendar invite. And 3, watch the proof or the testimonials of other people just like you. Now, another kind of key piece is within these testimonials, you want kind of all avatars. So here's what I mean by this. Before, in a lot of my stuff with Catchy Made Simple, I had a bunch of younger kids who were like, anywhere from 10 to 12. I have a lot of 10 to 12-year-olds that work with me and get great results. Well, there was this kid who was a junior in high school who was like, hey, do you work with older kids? Well, the reason that he asked that question was because I didn't have any older kids in the proof. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, I gotta add that in. And then on top of that, all the kids that I was working with were boys. And then every once in a while I'd get some softball girls. They'd be like, hey, do you work with softball people? It's like, well, yeah, I do. But when I look at the marketing, there needs to be people that look like them in that process. So ultimately, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to give them people that look like them, that were in similar situations, and then have a really great testimonial structure that walks them through where they were before, what they did in the actual program, and now where they are after. I have a whole another video on how to get good testimonials if you want to check that out. We have our calendar, we have our pre-call page video, and then we have our actual sales call. Now, from here, there's going to be email, and then there's going to be SMS. So we have email and text that are driving to the pre-call page. And then another thing that I picked up that I really like is we also have a text right before with the actual Zoom link that the call is going to be on. That also helps in terms of show rates. So essentially, as soon as someone books into a meeting from the calendar, they go into that pre-call page as like the thank you page upon submission, and then they watch the program breakdown so they understand exactly what the program looks like, what next steps are. They actually see everything that they're going to do, and then you accept the calendar invite, and then you have them watch other testimonials. And it's a really great system that allows us to hop on in 15 minutes and get an easy yes. And then from there, I send them a payment link, they sign up, we book an onboarding call, and we're off to the races. So that is really what the whole pre-call process looks like. And then the other thing that I would say is with the emails and the SMS messages, what you want is you want to kind of have them staggered. So the mistake that people would make here is you would kind of send them at the same time. You want like email, text, email, text, email, text. And for text, I would do basically at booking, 24 hours before, hour before, 5 minutes before. I think that's a really good flow. And the one with 5 minutes before, throw the Zoom link to the actual call in there. And then on the email side of things, again, at booking, and then you can go like, depending on how far out in advance they do it, but you could do 48 hours before, 18 hours before, 5 hours before, kind of like play around with those. I have some more specific numbers kind of that I do myself, but ultimately it's like, yeah, throw some stuff in there, drive them back to that page, make sure that they watch that video before the call. Because if they watch that video, the closing rate is so high. And if they don't watch that video, then what happens is you get really extended sales calls because they don't know how the program works. They're unsure about everything that goes on. Just get them to watch that video before. And you can do all of this with automation so that you don't actually have to send anything. It just walks them through the process and you're there in video, kind of like this, walking them through that whole process. So I think this is the best process to actually warm someone up for a sales call. And now that you know how to set someone up for a sales call, the question is, how do you actually take a sales call? You should check out this next video where I take Alex Hormozi's closer framework, break down what it is, break down how I have used it as a sports coach, and I think that you're really gonna enjoy it. So check it out right over here. I'm Ange Bourgeois. Let's win together.